Hi, I'm Joe Saunders with Miniature Landscape Hobbies, and in this episode we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to work with and review the DIY2 Laser Engraver by Algo Laser products. This looks like it might be an awesome product. Have I finally discovered the ultimate laser cutter for the miniature building hobbyist? Let's find out together. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is proudly supported by these sponsors. I've been building models and miniatures for about 30 years. In that time, the hobby has gone from a relatively low-tech process to now, in 2025, being a very high-tech pursuit. I'm also fortunate because Miniature Landscape Hobbies has allowed me to invest in this technology to stay relatively close to the cutting edge. Pun intended. But over time, I've found myself longing for one more major tool, a laser cutter engraver. When it comes to precision cuts, the laser cutter is the king of tools. And since I'm also into Napoleonics, with its massive model counts, I decided some time ago that I needed a laser cutter to make my own movement trays and bases. Then one day I got an email that made my dreams basically come true. Algo Laser contacted me and asked if I would try out their DIY Mk2 series of laser cutter and provide a review. They told me this machine was ideal for hobbyists such as myself, and most importantly, since I don't have a technologically inclined mind, this machine was supposed to be super easy to use and set up. So I took Algo up on their offer. In this video, I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour and review of the Algo DIY Mk2 Laser Engraver. Is this the next big tool to add to the miniature builder's arsenal? Let's find out together. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to give you a quick disclaimer up front. Algo has offered to be an affiliate partner with Miniature Landscape Hobbies, so if you're so inclined, please consider using the link in the video description to purchase this machine. It will generate a small commission, and this will help the channel. That being said, I pride myself on giving honest opinions as well as only endorsing solid products. So, with that said, let's get to the review. Everything showed up, unsurprisingly, in a box. I'd love to comment on the speed and ease of shipping, but I can't. Not because Algo did anything wrong, but because Canada Post was on strike just before Christmas, and our mail service was completely messed up. Anyway, I eventually got the machine. I knew they were sending me their basic set with the 10-watt laser. Opening the box, also to my delight, I found the honeycomb platform and an air pump. I won't give you the blow-by-blow on unboxing, as it's just not that important. But on the outside of the box, I saw this. A rather comforting line of text. Super easy to use. Inside is an instruction booklet, some sample material, and the machine itself. All expertly packed and shipped safe and sound. With all this looked at, it was time to get to building. Grabbing the instructions, I went to the setup section. The book was full color and easy to understand with large, clear diagrams. Almost every element of the build was very straightforward. The frame was a simple series of Allen keys and brackets onto which you slide the boom that carries the laser. After this, you thread on the drive belts and attach the laser with thumb screws. These screws are also what you use to focus the laser during its operation. Next, the wiring gets attached. At first, this might look a little bit intimidating because there are quite a few leads here. But it's all very sensibly laid out, and this is quite intuitive once you start hooking it up. Now I go to attaching the zip ties to hold the wiring out of the way of the moving parts of the mechanism. This is basically my only concern regarding the setup of the machine. I couldn't tell from the diagram exactly how to best do this. After testing the motion of the boom and watching the fall of the wires, I eventually came up with a plan that allowed me to use the zip ties in my own way, although it's probably not exactly as it's supposed to be. This being said, it really wasn't that big of a problem. It took me all of 3 or 4 minutes to figure this out, so I won't call it a major drawback. The honeycomb and air pump now just slot into place, and basically the machine is ready. And when I flipped the machine on, I was greeted with this. That's a rather scary alarm, and this threw me for a bit of the loop, until I realized that somewhere along the way, I managed to press the emergency stop button without noticing. Once I released it though, it was full steam ahead. Now, this has nothing to do with Algo, this was my error entirely, but I also did get to find out that the emergency function works at the same time. The next thing you're directed to do after completing the build is download the Algo app to your phone. This links to their machine wirelessly, and this took no effort to set up. Accessing some preloaded image on the phone, I was now ready to engrave or cut. In this case, I decided to use a bird. I horsed around with the settings to engrave this rather heavily, but the interaction with the software was all very straightforward. I also discovered you could access a library of engraving and cutting subjects right on the machine. This was pretty neat. So that concluded the immediate tour of the machine, but there's a ton more functionality to the DIY2. To really unlock its potential though, you need laser cutting software. Now you can get paid or free options for this. I'm cheap, so I went for the free download. In this case, I used Laser GRBL, Laser Gerbil, Laser Gerbil, I don't really know. Whatever it's called, this program lets you convert files that you make in various programs into code that can be read by the machine and then engraved. Now I have some skills in InDesign and other graphic software that I've accrued over the years, and this enabled me to make any number of things. Really, I could build almost anything that I could imagine here. I started by engraving my dog onto scrap wood, and then ruling out some 20mm by 20mm wargaming bases and movement trays, and I cut all of this from either plywood or MDF. Every step was handy and easy. And all in, I was getting down to designing and cutting my own subjects on the DIY2 within a couple of hours of getting it. A nice gentle learning curve that I think anyone could follow. But how good is the machine's resolution, I hear you ask? Well, I think it's quite good, but there's more learning I need to do to find out more. That being said though, I decided to engrave the QR code for my YouTube channel on top of a custom designed movement tray, and you know what? The phone read it on the first try. I would say this is as good a resolution as there ever was. So in the end, would I recommend this machine to my viewers? The answer is yes, but remember that not everyone will need this technological marvel. If you're just starting out in the hobby, or building in miniature, your basics like brushes and paints are going to be what you should purchase. But if you're already experienced and looking to increase your options by building your own custom products and creations, I don't think you could get a more versatile device than the DIY2. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for model builders, giving you a series of tools to let you do what you want. The only limitation being your imagination and what you could think of. I always try to balance the good with the bad in my reviews, but I must admit, this is kind of hard in this case. This machine just simply does what it says it does, and it really lives up to the text on the box. It is absolutely super easy to use. I guess maybe the one thing I was a little disappointed in was that the mobile app has limited functionality. It allows you to interface with the machine, but as far as I can tell, you can only really use it to engrave the files that are preloaded. Otherwise, you need to become handy with third-party softwares and a design program to make the whole thing work. But that can hardly be called a drawback. You need to have some way of unleashing your imagination after all. On the topic of software, if you're a general interest crafter or not inclined to learn the design skills needed to produce your own creations, you still have an extensive library of generic images and some limited freehand editing options on the mobile app. These look really cool, but I've not explored them too much, as I have other plans for the machine. So there you have it, my high-speed look at the DIY2 laser engraver by Algo. I think this is an ideal option for your arsenal of miniature building tools. Though it's not an absolute necessity for the hobby, it opens up a huge number of possibilities for your art, and all of this comes in at a decent price. If you think you might like this or any other product from Algo, please use the affiliate link in the video description, and I'll earn a small commission to support the channel from your purchase. With all that said, now you have to excuse me. I need to go order some more MDF so I can really get down to business creating with this awesome machine. If you'd like to learn more about painting miniatures, please consider watching this video, or watch this other video instead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for more miniature wargaming and model building content. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, remember to keep building life in miniature.